so this is the question that we have today. It's a strengthening question, but we're going to go ahead and, because we should always read the stimulus first, just go ahead and cover up the question type so we can ignore that and just dive into this stimulus. An unstable climate was probably a major cause of the fall of the Roman Empire. Okay, so an unstable climate, I'm assuming that's relating to weather, but I guess we could an unstable climate, like other things could cause that, was probably a major cause of the fall of the Roman Empire. So one, I want to be like, okay, why? How do we know that? I'm assuming this might be our conclusion, but we'll get back to that in a second. I'm going to look at this word probably and just point out that that's very mild. So just saying is probably, so it's a kind of a mildly worded conclusion as well. A major cause. So that means that a major cause, so that means that there's other causes as well, but this is just one of them, and it's one of the major ones of the fall of the Roman Empire. All right, I never knew that, but let's read on. Tree ring analysis shows that Europe's climate underwent extreme fluctuations between 250 AD and 550 AD, a period that encompasses Rome's decline and fall. All right, so we're using tree ring analysis to determine that Europe's climate underwent extreme fluctuations between this period, which encompasses the period of Rome's decline and fall. So right now I'm thinking, all right, so because Rome's empire fell during this time of extreme fluctuations, I guess we're saying that that was a major cause of it. I'm still kind of like not completely convinced, but all right. This highly variable climate surely hurt food production. Right, so we're saying that this extreme fluctuations in the weather surely hurt food production, which made the empire harder to rule and to defend. All right, I mean, that kind of makes sense, that part of it, that a variable climate hurt food production. And so we have less food production. That means people might be hungry or food costs are up, which made the empire harder to rule. Well, I know I get really hangry if I don't have food, and I would be really hard to sit school if I was going hungry. So I guess that's not terrible. So once we finish reading a stimulus, we have to ask ourselves, is this an argument or a fact? And let's go ahead and it's definitely an argument. How do we know that it's an argument? Well, one, I know it's a strengthening question, but you should not know that. But it's because it has a conclusion. And our conclusion is an unstable climate was probably a major cause of the fall of the Roman Empire. And how do I know that? Because the next part of this stimulus is all including information that is used to support it. We're saying all of this. Why are we saying all of this? We're saying all of this because we want to show that the unstable climate was a major cause of the fall of the Roman Empire. Is this a completely valid argument? No. There could have been lots of other things that were a major cause. But since this is a strengthened question, what we get to do is we get to pick out any premise, answer choice that we want, and we get to turn it into a premise and add it to our stimulus. And if we add it to our stimulus, we should strengthen our conclusions. We're trying to strengthen this idea that it was the unstable climate that was a major fall. So if I had to predict something of what would make this true, I would think that one thing that we could do is eliminate another explanation. So what could have been another explanation of the fall of the Roman Empire? Maybe like there was no wars going on, no external wars going on. I think that would strengthen that it was the climate that caused it. Or maybe it was that a lot of people died of hunger. People were really going hungry. And so we're really strengthening that idea that we don't have food. All right, let's dive into it. Political failures. Political failures within the Roman Empire during its last year led to conflicts that hampered ag production. All right, political failures within the Roman Empire during its last year led to Okay, that would definitely not strengthen it. Why does A not strengthen it? Because this is saying that the political failures are what led to not having more ag production and not having enough food. So maybe this is they had poor trade, or they sold all of their corn seeds to a different country so they couldn't grow any corn for their own. And that's what caused them to not have enough food, not the climate weather. B, the areas of the Roman Empire that had the greatest climatic instability between 250 AD and 550 AD did not experience unusual levels of unrest during that period. Okay, so the areas of the Roman Empire that had the greatest climatic instability did not experience, that doesn't really make sense because we're saying that the climatic instability is what caused the unrest. So yeah, no, not B. C, poor farming practices led to depleted soil in many parts of Europe during the last years of the Roman Empire. Well, wouldn't that be saying that the poor farming practices are what led to the depletion of the soil, not the weather? And so, not C. D, during periods when the Roman Empire was thriving, Europe consistently experienced weather that was favorable for agriculture. Yeah, I could see that. Like, I don't completely love that answer, but I think that would strengthen it because it would be sharing the opposite. Like, well, when we do have good weather, we do have a favorable experience. But that doesn't really guarantee that if we take away the nice weather, that we have bad food either. E, total food production in Europe was likely greater in the years around 550 than in the years around 250. No, because we don't really we're saying that it went down during that time. And so it could have been thriving at 250 and thriving at 550 and still been really down below. So yeah, I think that D is definitely our answer here because it does strengthen the idea that we know that whenever there is good weather and there is good agriculture, the Roman Empire was thriving. All right, I hope you found this helpful. All right.